everyone! So for today's video, I'm going to be telling the story time of my weird fake audition thing that I went to. I tweeted a little bit about this and it was on my Snapchat story a little bit. So some of you guys have been asking me to make this video, so here we go. So I am interested in becoming an actress. I don't know if that's actually something I can be able to do, but I've been taking acting classes at my community college and just trying to pursue that, you know. So I saw kind of a weird advertisement thing. It was like one of those sponsored posts on Facebook and it was like, talent search coming to your area, like coming to Bellingham, and click on this form to sign up for it. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll do this. And so I totally didn't really know what this was. I should have Googled the company or something before, but it asked for my full name, my email address, my phone number, and I think that was it, and like my age or something. And so I did all that and I got an email and it was like, oh, like this talent thing, reply to this to reserve your spot. And I was like, okay. So I responded and I got another email and it had like a fancy banner and it was like, yeah, it's like, come to this audition, it's gonna be at this hotel place and it's gonna be in blah 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 room. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So I was scrolling down and you could audition for either singing, acting, modeling, I can't remember what else. So I decided that I was going to audition for acting. So I scrolled down and there was like this commercial thing that you had to memorize and it was just about these makeup wipes and I was like, okay, I can do this. It's like a few sentences, I can memorize this. And I was just reading through it and it never really said what you were auditioning for. It wasn't like, oh, you're auditioning for this, you're auditioning for like a commercial, you're auditioning for something. It was just like talent search, like audition, like Disney Channel, you can be on the Disney Channel. So after all of that, I looked at the date and I was like, what the heck, the date's in like 3 days. Like they gave me 3 days preparation to do this. And so luckily I wasn't working that day, so I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go do this. I texted Michael and I was like, I guess I'm auditioning for this random like commercial thing. He was like, oh, that's cool, like I don't work that day, do you want me to come with you? And I was like, that's cool, because deep in my head, I know that this is probably some kind of weird scam thing, but I was just so focused on the like, oh, I could be an actress or something. So the day comes, and I forgot to mention that this happened like 2 weeks ago. So the day comes and Michael picks me up, I get ready, and on the form it specifically is like, wear natural makeup, like you don't want to look like you're wearing any makeup at all, like you want to look really fancy but like without wearing any makeup. And I was like, okay. So I just had on some lip liner and some mascara and I did my foundation and eyebrows and I went there and it was so weird. So I went into the hotel and you had to go up the stairs and go to the second floor and there was just so many kids, like parents bringing all of their kids and trying to get them, I don't know, scouted out. It was so weird because some of the kids, they were so young. They did not look like they wanted to be there and it was obviously like their parents forcing them to go or whatever, wanting to profit off of their kids. And I was just there with Michael. I was one of the older ones. There were a few older people there. So I went to the table that you were supposed to go to check in and I wrote down my name and they gave me a form and I filled it out and they asked a lot of weird questions that were like, are your parents together? Like, how many siblings do you have? And how old are your other siblings? And just a bunch of questions that I haven't really seen on any kind of application or form or anything. And I was filling it all out and I was like, okay, this is interesting. They told us to get there a half hour early to fill out this form. So I got there early to fill out the form and then the time comes when we have to start the auditions or whatever. And we're lining up and we're going into this random auditorium-like building thing, meeting building in the hotel, and there's like so many people going in and I was like, okay, are we doing these auditions in front of people? Because if we're doing them in front of people, I don't want to do that, like, ew, no. So we line up and we sit in the auditorium thing And they start doing this long speech rant thing just about random stuff. He was like, hi, like, I'm a talent discovery agent. I'm from Los Angeles. Like, I come up here, I always find talent in these cities, and I come up to this city because the families are together. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, parents are rarely divorced, like, families have good values. And I was like, what the fuck? And then he's like, I usually like to go to the South because families have better values there, but, you know, families have really good values up here too. And I was just like, it was just so weird. And so I'll explain my theory behind all of this later. And then, so there's a guy and a lady that apparently managed this thing, and the lady starts talking and she's like, I am so tired of these girls with their nose rings. Like, that is unacceptable in the industry. And first thing, I have divorced parents. Second thing, I have a nose ring. Oh my god. And she was like, if you really want a nose ring, like that little bit of sparkliness on your nose, just glue a piece of glitter on your nose and then flick it off at the end of the day. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is wrong with this lady? Who hurt you? And she was just complaining, ranting, and then the guy starts talking. He's like, you know, I've been judging all of you since you walked in. I'm checking you out, making sure that you are sitting up straight, that your kids are well behaved. And then he's like, if you guys have toddlers under 2, like, I don't want you to just leave. And I was like, what is this? So then they start playing this slideshow thing. It's like a, no, it's not slideshow. They start playing this movie, no, a short clip of just this weird thing. They're like, this program called blah 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 pop, like, it was called something pop, but I don't want to say the name because I feel like, what if they sue me? I don't know how much power they have. It was about this camp, I think, and they were like, yeah, like, it's so good, like, I went here, I learned so much, I made so many friends. And I was like, what the heck, like, am I auditioning for, what am I auditioning for? Am I auditioning for this camp? Like, what is this? This is, no. So this literally 10-minute long video just talking about this random camp, and I was like, okay, like, what is this? Start the auditions, and there's 2 tables up at the front of the room. The lady that hates nose rings and is against them for some reason is up there interviewing one half of the room and doing the auditions, like where you recite your commercial and answer a bunch of questions, and then the other half of the room is being interviewed by the guy. And I was so scared because this lady sounded so rude, and I could tell that she was one of those ladies that hates girls, that thinks girls are like annoying and gross, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And so I wait a really long time, and I'm with Michael, and we're just like talking and chilling. We're just waiting, like, everybody's going through, and then finally it's my turn. And so I get up there, and she's like, the first thing she does is she like yells to the guy next to him, like, oh my god, the bar closes in 2 hours. And she looks at everyone that's left and is like, so I was like, hi, my name is Sonia, I'm 18 years old, like, I'm interested in becoming like an actress, and that's why I auditioned for this. Like, I just think this would be a cool opportunity to like get more experience with auditions. And so she's just looking at me, like, the way she is looking at me, I feel like she's just, you know, that look that girls give other girls. It's like, bitch, like, what do you have against me? You trying to fight? But she was looking at me so scary, and I was just getting scared of her. And she started asking me so many weird questions. She was like, so are your parents, like, are they together? And I was like, they aren't. And she was like, why aren't your parents together? And honey, that's a long story. Like, you think I'm gonna tell you this? But I was like, oh well, they just, you know, things didn't work out, you know, because I wasn't about to be like, oh, like, my mom's crazy. But then she was asking me about my siblings, like, on the application. She was like, how old is your brother? Like, what does your brother do? Like, what hobbies does your brother do? And I was like, honey, is this even about me? And she was just eyeing me so weirdly. And so I took out my nose ring after she did that weird rant about nose rings. And then she was like, so why did you get your nose pierced? It's not really necessary. I was like, I wanted to. Let me live my life. And the whole thing was just So weird. And so then she had me recite the commercial and I had it memorized, so I said it and she was like, okay, like, we'll text you tomorrow if it works. And I was like, what did I just audition for? So I leave with Michael. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, she asked me so much about Michael. She was like, how long have you guys been dating? Like, what the heck? She rarely asked any questions about me. She just asked me like, why was I there? And then everything else was weirdly about my parents and my brother and Michael. So I'm just chilling, living my life. I assumed that I didn't make the audition because that lady was staring me down like you don't even know. And I get a text that's like, oh, you made the callback. They didn't even have anything specific that I was auditioning for, which I thought was kind of suspicious, and like I should have honestly picked up on it. And she was like, oh, you made the callback, like, good job, we only picked like 4 people. And I was like, oh, that's weird because I have no acting experience and I feel like I didn't do very well. And so I was like, okay, like, that's really awesome. What are the next steps? And she was like, oh, did you read over the packet that I gave you? And I remember that she gave me this packet at the end of our interview, and so I was like, no. So I looked at the packet and she was like, do you agree to the packet? And I was reading the packet. All that it was were prices for these random acting camps. And they were really expensive acting camps, like between $5,000 and $15,000. And I was like, honey, like, what is there to agree to? Like, do I agree to pay this much money? What do you mean? So I started doing some Googling online, and there were some like warning signs that I should have picked up on that I realized. I was looking up fake auditions, like scams, and they were like, watch out for if they meet in a hotel and ask for all ages and like all races. And I was like, okay. Was I just scammed? I mean, I didn't pay anything, but what if I did pay something to them? And apparently real auditions, they would ask for a very specific type of person, and like, this is not even real. And then they were like, watch out if you're not auditioning for anything specific, like watch out if blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god, this is so weird. And then it was like, watch out if the name of the company is really vague. And I was like, fuck, because the name of this company was like talent undiscovered blah blah blah. So I was just doing so much research, and it was saying that all of this stuff was fake. And then it was like, watch out if they make you pay for anything, like that is definitely a scam. Like, if this is a real audition for something, they won't make you pay, they want to pay you to be in something. And so I just was like, okay, this is definitely some kind of scam. These people are trying to get money out of me, like, no. So I texted her back and I was like, oh, like, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I would definitely not be able to afford these prices, and I am a full-time student, so yeah, like, you know. Her response was literally K, and I was like, bitch, give me more than a K. So my theory behind why they kept asking about the divorced parents and the weird family value things was because this whole thing was to see who would pay for these camps and who was willing to, I don't know, fork over the money for these like random things. Yeah, if your parents are together, they're gonna have more money. Like, divorce is expensive, honey. The reason why they were judging me so harshly was to see, like, did I look like I could pay for these camps? Like, did I look rich? Did I look like I had rich parents? Or at least, maybe not rich parents, but like parents that had money to pay for these camps. And yeah, it was overall just a really, really weird experience, and I just want to make this story time just in case you see this ad on Facebook and you're like, oh, I want to be an actress. Just don't even waste your time. They're trying to take your money away from you and scam you. No real audition acting company thing would probably have you pay for these random camps, and I'm pretty sure they lied about how many people they call back because I have no experience. Like, the only experience I have is like one acting class that I'm taking right now. So if you guys see this ad, it's probably a scam, and don't fall for it like I did. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to let me know if you enjoyed this storytime video, and be sure to subscribe for new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Bye everyone!